Good morning everyone. Topic for today is thermodynamics. What is thermodynamics? It is that branch of physics which deals with heat and temperature and their interconversion to each other. So it deals with heat and temperature and their interconversion into each other. So that particular branch is called thermodynamics. Now what we have to discuss in thermodynamics, first have a look at certain basic things like a thermodynamic system. Now what do you mean by a thermodynamic system? It consists of large number of particles. Like a system can be, suppose I am giving you just one example, your hot cup of tea. That is your system. So that consists of large number of particles and is described by certain quantities like pressure, volume, temperature. That thing is called thermodynamic system. Then everything except your system that is having a direct or indirect effect on your system, that is called surroundings. Surrounding means everything except your system. Like for example, if you are considering the hot cup of tea, then everything around that hot cup of tea, that is called its surrounding. So leaving that hot cup of tea, whatever is present, that is called surrounding. Whatever is present around it, that is called surrounding. After that, there are certain state variables, thermodynamic state variables. So what are state variables? Again the same thing, certain parameters, certain physical quantities like pressure, volume or temperature, which are used to study the system, particular thermodynamic system. They are called state variables like pressure, volume, temperature, etc. Then an equation which is relating these three, like PV equals to nRT. You have done this. Which equation is this? This is equation of state for an ideal gas. That PV equals to nRT, where R is your universal gas constant, N is the number of moles. Okay, so this is all just the basic of thermodynamics. So we have to start it with the concept, with the topic, that is thermal equilibrium. What do you mean by thermal? Thermal is related to, means its meaning is in terms of heat or temperature. So whenever heat is there, means temperature is there. Thermal equilibrium means heat equilibrium. Heat equilibrium means temperature equilibrium, or you can say temperature is same. So thermal equilibrium, two like systems are said to be in thermal equilibrium. Like suppose there are two bodies A, this is another body B. Okay, initially it is having temperature say 50 degrees Celsius, it is having temperature 30 degrees Celsius, then heat will flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. And up to what time the heat will flow? Until the temperature of both become same. So in that case, when the temperature of both becomes same, say it is 40 and 40 degree, in this case, when the temperature is same, then these two systems are said to be in thermal equilibrium. So what is the condition for thermal equilibrium? That temperature of both the systems should be same. And based upon thermal equilibrium, there is a zeroth law of thermodynamics. Now why there is zeroth law? Like generally we have first, second, third, fourth and so on. So why the need of zeroth law is there? Because first law of thermodynamics and second law of thermodynamics, after them this law was discovered. Now this law contains a quantity called temperature, which is the fundamental of all the thermodynamic concepts. So it should come before first and second law. That is why it is called zeroth law of thermodynamics. Now what is this zeroth law of thermodynamics? It appears like simple mathematical equation. The mathematical equation is like, suppose there are three systems A, B and C. This is A, this is B and this is C. A and B are separated by an adiabatic wall, means through which no exchange of heat between A and B. This is adiabatic wall. And with C it is diathermal wall, means heat can transfer till the temperature on both sides becomes same. Now suppose you open this wall, means here there can be exchange of heat between A and C, but between B and C you have placed an adiabatic wall again, or insulating wall. Then A and C, if they are in thermal equilibrium with each other, after some time, like maybe heat flow from A to C or C to A, depending upon which one is at higher temperature, after some time temperature of both of them becomes same, so they are in thermal equilibrium with each other. I am writing here on the side, like if A is equal to C, means A is in thermal equilibrium with C, and then moving this insulating wall over here, now heat can exchange between B and C. So B and C are in thermal equilibrium with each other. This is the statement that if A and C are in thermal equilibrium with each other, B and C are in thermal equilibrium with each other, then it means A and B are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. So you can say it is like simple mathematical equation that if A is equals to C, B is equals to C, this automatically means A is equals to B. But it was not like this. Why? Because in case of gases, you have studied various laws, like Charles' law is V is directly proportional to T. Then you have another law in which pressure is directly proportional to temperature. So from these two equations, what is the relation between P and B coming out to be? So it is P is directly proportional to B. But this is wrong, because P is not directly proportional to V, because you have done Boyle's law that P is inversely proportional to V. So it is not as simple as it appeared to be. So zeroth law means it is a kind of discovery, like there are separate means there are different observations behind this. Then this law comes that if system A and B are in thermal equilibrium with third system C separately, means A is in thermal equilibrium with C, B is in thermal equilibrium with C, then A and B are in thermal equilibrium with each other also. This is your zeroth law. And from the zeroth law, how can we define temperature? That temperature is that scalar quantity, because temperature is not vector. Temperature is that scalar quantity basically associated with all the thermodynamic system, such that equality of temperature means when we equate the temperature, temperatures are equal. Equality of temperature is the necessary and sufficient condition for the systems to be in thermal equilibrium. This is how temperature is defined, that it is a scalar quantity associated with most of the thermodynamic system, such that equality of temperature means when T1 equals to T2, this is the necessary means required condition, and this is the sufficient condition to prove that two systems are in thermal equilibrium with each other. Okay, so this is all about zeroth law and temperature definition. So since temperature is basic fundamental quantity and this law was discovered after first and second law, that is why it needs to be prior to first law, so it is called zeroth law of thermodynamics. Now afterwards, there are certain quantities associated with system. We are talking about system and system. Now here to study thermodynamics further, we need to consider a system. So we'll consider here a system that is a gas enclosed in a cylindrical container with a movable piston, frictionless movable piston. So this one is your movable piston. A gas is filled in it. Okay, so here suppose you give it heat, then there are three things associated with it. First is heat. Heat given to the system is taken as positive. Heat released by the system means taken away from the system. Heat released by the system, or here you can also write heat absorbed by the system. Given to the system, that is absorbed by the system. Heat absorbed by system is positive. Heat released by the system is always negative. This is for heat. Now that heat is utilized for two things, like to do some work as well as to increase the internal energy. First thing is, what is work? Work is when this piston is moving upward because of expansion of gas, or we are pushing the piston downwards to compress the gas. So in the case, if it is moving upward due to expansion of gas, means this gas is doing work on the piston, means when the work is done by the system, work done by the system is taken as positive, and work done on the system, like when you pushing the piston down, work done on the system is taken as negative. Afterwards, what is internal energy? The third quantity, that is internal energy U. Now what is this internal energy? We denote it by U. Internal energy is actually the sum of kinetic energy and potential energy. Now here the gas molecules, they are in random motion, they are having certain speed or velocities, because of that kinetic energy is there. If you increase the temperature, you know, molecules start moving further fast, so kinetic energy increases. So kinetic energy is the function of temperature. On the other hand, coming to this potential energy, when potential energy is due to the intermolecular attraction between the molecules of the gas. For an ideal gas, we assume it to be zero, but for a real gas, it is there. Like when you have to expand the gas, means these molecular forces, the distance between the molecules increases, so potential energy increases. Thus, you can say potential energy is the function of volume of the gas. So total kinetic plus potential, that is called internal energy. Generally, we assume that internal energy, if there is no change in temperature, there is no change in internal energy. That will be zero, because internal energy will not increase if the temperature will not change. Because we are considering this as an ideal gas, then potential energy can be taken as zero. Okay. So these are three things. Now how these three are related, that is given by first law of thermodynamics, that heat given to the system, if I am writing delta Q, that is the heat absorbed by the system, that is equal to, because this heat absorbed will be utilized for two purposes. Number one, to do some work, say delta W. Second thing is to increase its internal energy, delta U. I can write it like this also. This is dQ, change in heat, means value of heat, that is heat given to the system or heat is taken out from the system. That will affect internal energy, du, and some amount of work is done. So this statement, both these statements, this is first law of thermodynamics, that heat given to the system, heat associated with the system is utilized for two purposes. Number one, to increase the internal energy or to decrease the internal energy, and to do the work done. Okay, delta Q is delta U plus delta W, or in terms of dQ, if you want to write, it is dQ equals to du plus dW. This is first law of thermodynamics. Now, how to apply first law of thermodynamics to various processes? Now, what are the various types of processes? First, let me explain that. Then we will apply first law of thermodynamics for the various processes. I am writing this on one side. So, what is here first law of thermodynamics? That is dQ equals to du plus dW, or in other words, you can write delta Q is delta U plus delta W. Now, what are different kinds of thermodynamic process? Because there are various variables associated with the process like P, V and T. If any one of them is kept constant, for example, if I keep pressure constant, a thermodynamic process in which pressure remain constant, such kind of process is called isobaric process. Isobaric process means here pressure is constant. This is isobaric process. Then is if volume is constant. Suppose if you keep the volume constant, this term volume is constant, such process is called isochoric process, where there is no change in volume. And if temperature is kept constant, such process is called isothermal process. means whatever is constant उसके आगे आपने means like choric means related to volume, so iso लग गया. Isochoric, choric से याद रखो volume. Isobaric, that is pressure. And then isothermal process. Thermal means heat means temperature. So isothermal process, temperature remain constant. Then there is one more process. If there is no exchange of heat between system and surrounding, for example, you are taking something inside a thermos flask, in that case insulating walls are there, so there is no exchange of heat between system and surrounding. Such process is called adiabatic process. When there is no exchange of heat between system and surrounding, such process is called adiabatic process. Okay, so these are different kinds of process. Now we will see how the first law of thermodynamics is applied to all these processes. So first we will start with, suppose it is adiabatic process. So what will happen in adiabatic process? So for adiabatic process, there is no exchange of heat, means dq is 0 for adiabatic process. So it means du plus dw is equal to 0, or we can say du is minus of dw. Now what does it mean? When work is done by the system, means when the gas expands, the work is done by the system, then internal energy decreases, means the cooling will take place. Internal energy decrease means temperature will decrease, that is why internal energy will decrease, so you can say cooling takes place due to expansion of gas. But when you compress the gas means when the work is done on the gas, in that case work done is negative, so internal energy negative, positive. So in that case internal energy comes out to be positive, means temperature increases. So when you compress the gas, temperature generally increases. So this is for adiabatic process. Next is for isothermal process. What is there for isothermal process? There is no change in temperature. If temperature will not change, then means here T is constant. If temperature is constant, there is no change in internal energy. So change in internal energy is 0. Thus, your first law of thermodynamics becomes dq is dw. So whatever heat you are giving to the system, in that case the whole heat is utilized to do the work. After that you are having your isochoric process in which volume is constant. Isochoric. Here there is no change in volume, means dV is equals to 0. Now where this dV is present in first law? First law is dq is du plus dw. This dw can be written as pdv. Work done is pressure into small change in volume. So यहाँ पे dq is du plus pdv. Since dv is 0, so your dq is equal to du. Means whatever heat is given to the system, heat given to the system positive, means internal energy is positive. So internal energy will increase. Heat taken out from the system is taken as negative. In that case, internal energy will decrease. So here the heat will totally affect the internal energy. There is no work done in this case, isochoric process. Now there is last process, that is your isobaric process. In isobaric process, what is constant? Pressure. So isobaric process. In isobaric process, pressure is constant. P is constant, means there is change in volume. So dq is simply du plus pdv. Now it depends what kind of change in volume is there. Change in volume is large or change in volume is less, so accordingly it varies. dq is du plus pdv. For example, during boiling there is lots of change in volume. dV will be quite large, but in case of melting, dV is very small, so we can take dV as 0 in that case. Okay, so this is your isobaric process. Now in case of when it is for boiling process, we are just making this a special case of this. For boiling process, this dV is Vf minus Vi, final volume minus initial volume. This is large during boiling. Okay, this is very high during boiling. For boiling process, dV is equals to this is very high. And for boiling, when it boils, then dq is equal to what actually? The heat during boiling. We can write the heat as m into L. So we can write dq is, because latent heat, m into L. So in case of boiling, mL, it is equal to du plus P dV, that is Vf minus Vi, final volume minus initial volume. This is for the boiling process. And for melting, same as the expression for melting. The only thing is there, the Vf minus Vi is very, very small, so it can be taken approximately 0. So for melting, we can say dV is nearly equal to 0. So for that, mL is equal to du only. Means that is used to just increase the internal energy. mL is equals to du, because this term will be equals to 0 as dV is 0. So this is how first law of thermodynamics can be applied to various processes. For example, if the process is cyclic, cyclic means the process returns back to its initial state. So in that case also, when the process returns back to its initial state, there is no change in internal energy. So no change in internal energy means du is 0 for cyclic process. So what will happen for cyclic process? If du is 0, means whatever, this is for cyclic. Cyclic means, suppose it started from here, goes here, then again come back. So this is your cyclic process. So for cyclic process, there is no change in internal energy. That is du equals to, okay, I have written here now, dq is du plus dw. So for cyclic process, du equals to 0. So it means in that case, dq equals to dw. Means whatever heat you give to the system, that is used to do some work. Okay, so this is all about your first law of thermodynamics, how we applied it to various processes. Then there are certain limitations of first law of thermodynamics. That is why second law of thermodynamics is there. Now what are the limitations of first law of thermodynamics? First thing is, see, the expression is d2 equals to du plus dw. Fine. First law tells that heat is transferred into work done and increase in internal energy. But first law doesn't tell us about the direction of flow of heat. Because we know heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. That is after the second law of thermodynamics. First law nowhere tells that heat cannot flow from cold object to the hot object. So it doesn't tell us about the direction of flow of heat. Okay, so there was no indication of that, in which direction the heat will flow, whether from high temperature to low temperature or from low temperature to high temperature. It has talked about heat transfer, but ये नहीं बताया heat will transfer from higher temperature to lower temperature or from lower temperature to higher temperature. Second thing, first law has not cleared that under what circumstances heat will be transferred into work done. Okay, so no means idea about the situations or conditions in which heat is transferred to work. Converted to work. Heat is converted to work. For example, see, if a wheel is rotating, he is given the example like if a wheel is rotating, the wheel comes to rest because of production of heat energy due to friction. But it has not explained, like suppose if we give heat to that wheel, it will again start rotating. Will it start rotating? The answer is no. If you heat up a wheel, it will not start rotating. So first law has given no idea about the conditions in which heat is converted into work. In that particular case, in the wheel case, when we heat the wheel, it will not start rotating. Okay, but when you give heat to a system like a gas in the cylinder, then obviously work is done. In that situation, work is done, you are providing heat. In this case, you are providing heat, but no work is done. So it has not given any conditions under what condition heat is converted into work. And third thing is, means it has given no idea that how much heat is converted into work. How much means which extent of heat can be converted into work done. Whether all the heat is converted into work done or there is some loss, because nothing has an efficiency, because now engines are not in your syllabus. Like every heat engine that is not having efficiency of 100%. So it has not given the extent up to which heat can be converted into work done. That is the last limitation, that it doesn't tell that up to what extent heat can be converted into work done. Up to what extent heat can be converted into work done. Okay, so these are the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. Because of these limitations, second law of thermodynamics was there. So that we will discuss in tomorrow's lecture. Okay, so this is all about today. Thank you and have a nice day.